Hello and welcome to day 2 of week 5 of split 1 of the 2020 OPL. I am Nick, Nick Boy Richardson, and I have learned that you should never ever watch anything on Rusty's phone before you're about to go on a live to air broadcast. That is what I've learned. I am joined by Skimmy, Rusty, and Spawn. Boys, I feel we all feel the same way right now.
Yes.
You just can't trust Rusty.
I got it out of my head. I was so ready to just come in here and talk about League of Legends, and you just had to do that straight away.
I did have to do it. I like to get in your head. I'll tell you what, the OPL likes to get into the players' heads as well.
This is like some serious mental warfare shit going on right now.
We have the classic matches at the beginning of every broadcast. I don't know if, it was a good set for the finals at the end of last year.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
for 4 players that no longer play in the OPL, I'm sure there's some great memories. The unfortunate thing is that there's 6 players, 4 or 5 of which are playing in this game.
Yeah.
And literally they're just going to be tilted off the face of the planet watching that.
We sitting here waiting to go live. I yell out, like, the winners of the 2018 OPL, Mammoth, and then we just hear a guttural scream on the other side of the wall, which is clearly a ex-Chiefs player just watching and sobbing.
Because who is it? It's like Swipathy and Claire only, and Ayla. All were in that series, all lost. Everyone but Raze is like playing in the first matchup and just had to watch probably the most painful loss of their competitive career, because when you think about that, the Chiefs finished first and they dropped like 2 games all split or something, and then they walk into the OPL Grand Final at MEO in front of what was a very Chiefs favoured crowd for a Melbourne event and got blown out, unfortunately.
It was a bad time, and I'm glad we're here to remind the boys of it. It was a good time last night, though. We had fun. Skimmy?
We did. We had some fantastic games. We saw an upset, obviously, with Mammoth getting their first win of the season.
So exciting.
What a great storyline that is. A brand new bot lane. They came in, no nerves, and just crushed it.
And then, obviously, the final game of the evening, Rusty, was just the secret banger.
Well, like Juve said yesterday when he was here, we were talking about quantum physics, and by the end of it, it was just me and him really heated discussions about League of Legends. Just really got into the game because it delivered so much that it just encaptured all of us.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. I'm so glad you directed that question at Skimmy.
Yep.
Because when you said terrific night last night, the last thing I thought about was the OPL. I was going to be like, we're talking about going out for some orange juice and stuff as a group of friends. And then Skimmy's like, the OPL was really good. And I was like, holy shit, that was last night, wasn't it? Like, good job, Skimmy.
We just have long nights.
An air of professionalism for once in the building.
We've got long, enjoyable nights. Something else that was enjoyable last night, obviously, was the painting challenge. This is Dugon Dudu and Carl. Well done to the 2 OPL viewers.
Carl got even darker overnight.
So can I say, well, the paint, when the paint dries, I got an email from Carl.
Oh, what did he say?
Nick and the rest of the OPL casting crew, thank you for honouring me with a painting in the studio. Not going to lie, I was a bit afraid when I saw that it was Nick painting me, but you rose to the challenge, and I would say that you did my picture justice. I certainly appreciate the extra hair and the tan. Also, I think we can say that my portrait is the only one that has been licked by Nick. Again, thank you for selecting me and painting an epic portrait. Loved it. Tax accountant Carl.
Yeah, well, tax accountant Carl, can I just say thank you for following the guidelines, because we had very specific guidelines that needed to be met, and we had probably 30, 40 people submit, and I think you were the only person that actually met any of them. So good job.
All last night, Spawn is just yelling, paint what isn't there.
Yeah.
And we saw the job I did on the nose. So if we picked any of the nipple pictures that were sent to me,
That would have been a disaster.
that would have been a nightmare to get that shading. That's no way to live at all. A good way to live, though, is joining us this evening for the OPL. Let's take a look at the games that we have coming our way. Game number 1 is Chiefs versus Order, an already tilted Order. Game number 2, Gravitas take on Direwolves. Avant versus Pentanet.gg for game 3. And rounding out the evening, Legacy versus, potentially, Mammoth on the verge of the world's biggest upset.
On a run.
Yeah, they're on a run.
They're on a run.
They're on a step.
They're on a run.
That counts. If they did it fast enough,
Yeah.
that's a run.
I feel like you need 3 steps to make a run. So I'm going to say that this is the second step towards a potential future run that Mammoth could be making. that was a very decisive game. They were getting solo kills in lanes that they have been historically getting solo killed in Rusty, that Ornn lane in the top lane. But for me, it's game 3. Banger, game of the night. See how Pentanet.gg bounce back versus Avant Gaming. And the reason that it's a banger is because this is for the not that bad belt, Nick.
Oh, it is too.
So Gravitas had the not that bad belt, and then it was ripped away from them by Avant Gaming. Now, if Avant Gaming beat Pentanet.gg, they're actually good, and Pentanet.gg becomes not that bad.
Should we get some sort of prize?
I was just going to say that belt over there, does that just get rebranded?
That's not bad, but like straight up, that belt could be more impressive than the OPL Grand Final trophy. I'm just saying. The Grand Final trophy is like a piece of metal. That belt, you could wear that out.
Do you know what that belt's for?
I assume it's some wrestling thing.
No, so we used to have like a mini competition going on in the OPL, which was like a team had the belt. And if you retained the belt for the week, you got a bonus, like a purse bonus.
How do you retain the belt?
By winning it. Yeah. So, but like, so it wasn't necessarily top of the ladder, right? If for example, if Chiefs would have the belt right now because they've beaten everyone.
Yeah.
So if Order beat the Chiefs today, like in the theoretical world, then they would get the belt.
Which won't happen because Order are massively tilted right now.
Potentially, but we are also we're guaranteed a 1-1 week.
That's true.
That was the deal I made with the Devil at the start of the split.
That's true.
He said, I can't give you any 2-0 weeks, but I'm not going to give you any 0-2 weeks. And I said, I will take that deal, Mr.
I'll
Devil.
take it.
It's an exciting time, day 2, heading into the Order game because
You know what you're going to get.
you know what you're going to get. It must be really tilting for the team they're going up against as well.
The Chiefs know what they're going to get. They're coming to this one ready to lose. You'd have to expect Order. Always get a 1-1.
It is very exciting. Something else is very exciting. We are going to be doing a double Nick bag. As usual, our Saturday tradition, so please send in your questions to asknickboy@gmail.com or you can tweet them at me. We will answer literally anything. And
We're getting desperate.
I mean, we're not getting desperate because I still got a ton, but I'm getting desperate content-wise.
Yes.
I feel like you at the beginning of the split made a really bad choice, and that was by mentioning the best question we've ever had, which was about the woman who kept getting trapped in the
in the deli
freezer by being lifted up there by her coworkers. And I just feel like we need something to top that.
Nothing's come close yet.
If you've got it, like if anyone's lifting you and putting you strange places, please let us know about it because in that sense, we are very desperate. Are we desperate for a game?
I feel like we're not desperate, but we definitely want the games.
We do want the games. Well, let's take a look at the rosters then for Order. Bring them up, graphics team. Talk them out, skimmy.
To be big swiper in that top side, only in the jungle, Harry in the mid lane, and your bottom lane is Rare7 and Ayla. Yep, you just never know what you're going to get with this roster. One thing I will say is that they definitely do bring some craziness in their drafts, especially against the top guns. They did it yesterday against Legacy. Last time up against the Chiefs, they busted out Irelia. That was Rare playing it in the bottom lane to try and counteract this immobile ADC meta in Aphelios and Misfortune. So there's a degree of excitement that can come around the draft and then seeing if they can actually execute on that front.
Yeah, we do know the one consistent thing for them is that the coaches spawn and their coach has left us on the couch to go behind them as we speak as well. So looking forward to see how that plans out, how that plays out, and if he has any weird drafts up his sleeve.
Well, he will have to have something up his sleeve because he's going up against the Chiefs who are undefeated, nigh unstoppable. They are not the Chiefs of 2018, of 2019, sorry. They are the 2020 Chiefs. Rusty, who are they?
There's Tien in the top lane, one of those 2019 Chiefs that worked behind Swiper, his opponent today. Croc in the jungle, Claire mid lane, Katsuri and Korea CK down in bottom with the coach, Seal.
And what can you say about these guys that hasn't already been said? Strong, consistent. I mean, there's barely been a week where they've looked shaky, right?
Superstars in every single role. Everyone's risen to the occasion and showcased what they can do. Croc with his carry performance, Korea CK with his flexing ability and those different supporting champions. You talk about communication issues and you talk about coming into a roster a little bit late. They haven't showcased any of that so far.
Yeah, they have been challenged, but they still came out on top. You know, the game against Legacy, Legacy took it to them being aggressive. And I think what we learned from that game is Chiefs still thrive in that environment, even if they fall behind because it's fast-paced. So I think that the recipe to success may be to be like a Pentanet.gg style gameplay, which is slow it down and just make the correct decisions.
Because it's funny, even when they change so much of their roster, the Chiefs' play style of just wanting that fast action, wanting to just ball in and brawl out, just stays consistent.
I would say the heart and soul's still there, though, from the Chiefs, in that they've got Claire and Tien.
Yep.
That kind of is where that aggression comes from. And then it's easy for Croc to just slot in and be like, well, my solo laners are super aggressive, so I have to be as well.
I don't want to put too much pressure on Croc, but I expect him to show up again this week because he is so much fun to watch. Like every time it happens, it's exciting being upstairs and just hearing people shout out his name or weep. One of those two things, depending on which side of the game you are on. All right, it's time to get into game number 1. It is Chiefs versus Order, and it is coming your way with the Macca's Champ Select right after this.
The undefeated Chiefs take on 4th placed Order in our opening game of the day as we enter the Macca's Champion Select. It's a tall order for Order. They've finished every single week up to this moment 1-1. Do they have enough Saz in their draft to cause a big upset here today?
Well, it's not the best week to be Order and try and find that 1-1. They've gone against Legacy yesterday. They've got the Chiefs today. This is the hardest draw at this point of the split for Order this week. Expecting to get that win is not an easy thing to say. Of course, fate, destiny may well be on their side, but it's not that simple against the likes of the Chiefs.
Order have taken a little bit of a different approach in this one as to how Chiefs have been outdrafted in the previous matches. They targeted Katsuri in that bottom lane, forcing him to go for the Lucian for the first time. They have actually gone for an early ban here on towards Kled, which we've seen Swiper play in the past, but it's 10.4. Ornn is insane. Ornn is locked in.
Yeah, that is a target ban from Swiper. The Kled 10 does go towards the Ornn, as much as he doesn't want to play that. You know, very begrudgingly, he will take the tanks and say fine. In interviews, he said he loves the carries, the diversity that can happen up there. But at the same time, you don't have much of a choice, as the Aphelios being banned, to me, is one of the biggest things here. A good decision by Order. Leaves the Misfortune open, as the Ornn priority was there. And I think that at the end of the day, and Order have said, Spawn has said this, the coach of Order, is that they don't think that Ornn is like the be-all end-all champion because it's a slow ramping type of gameplay, or at least that's how the teams in Oceania are using it. And it can be exploited early.
Yep, Tien definitely loving those carries, as you mentioned. Claire very flexible on what he can play to allow both Katsuri and Tien to flex and really bring home that damage.
Yeah, and speaking of flex, we've got a set locked in here second, which means either the Ornn is flexing or the set is flexing between solo lanes. We've also seen set jungle. So with the first two champions locked in there by the Chiefs, not a lot of information actually given over, even though the champions themselves are just strong, and that is really all we know. Chiefs have also gone towards an Ezreal third here, Skimmy, which usually lends itself to exactly this hover from the opposing side, as Ezreal Yuumi seems to be a staple bot lane that is now being constantly split up.
Order have found a lot of success with this one. Date your mind back to the Olaf and the Yuumi game, where they were able to find fights 4v5 and just crush. With these three crucial picks here for Order, bear in mind, this definitely signifies team fighting is on their cards. Definitely pushing back Katsuri's priority. And what I'm going to say, I think Chiefs have the best bot lane in the league right now.
And it's hard to deny it with their performances, but you have to look at the likes of Raze and Isles and say that they've still got a lot of potential there between those two. Of course, that's first and second, so very hard to differentiate in that regard. Now, Nautilus going to be banned away here from the Chiefs bot lane. When you've gone for the support blind, you know that you've just taken it away from the Ezreal Yuumi combo. They are going to ban the Nautilus. Maybe another hook champion could be taken away. Things that make Yuumi's life hard, always worth considering removing. I think Nautilus is the #1 priority. So this second ban could be honestly flexible. They could look towards other roles if they would like. Perhaps there is a preference on a particular ban, but no, they are going to go towards the support role still.
Heavy emphasis towards the bottom lane for the Chiefs. And that's I suppose the discussion now as to, as the Chiefs, how do you want to actually try and tackle this Misfortune and this Yuumi? Do you want to go for a kill comp? Do you want to go for a poke comp? Do you want mobility?
I mean, Braum's probably the most likely option now. You could still be like a Blitzcrank you know, and be very aggressive into a misfortune. You get the 2-for-1 every time you hit the hook now, right? You get a Yumi and a misfortune. That's possible, but I expect something like the Braum to be seen. Just to, you know, help that Ezreal get through laning phase and then work in tandem nicely with the set as the game scales through with your passive and him being an auto-attack focused champion.
That man on your screen right now, Harry, having a fantastic performance on that Azir yesterday. Chiefs recognizing that. Chiefs respect banning it as well. And the Corki's going to come on out here from order.
Yeah, they'd lock in the Corki, something that we have seen a little bit around the world. We've actually seen some Omnistone Corki.
Okay.
Which is, you know, people associate Omnistone with the run it down rune, but it has seen a lot of constant touch-ups and changes to make it a little bit more viable every single patch. And it starts to hit that point where it is an option, and Corki's one of those champions that can proc honestly every single rune to ever exist in League of Legends. So we'll see if that's the direction that Hayri chooses to go towards. So we await their final pick.
Jungle set, not a possibility anymore as Elise gets locked in. Croc's most played champion this split so far. And Senna now being hovered. Would give them a lot of CC in that bottom lane, a lot of range as well. And the global ability to try and find fights across the map with the damage and the shielding component from that ultimate.
Yeah, that Senna lock into me, actually. I see that and I understand what the Senna can do, but I feel like it's very susceptible to dying because we've just immediately got the Alawi locked in.
They've done this.
This is so funny because we were having a conversation upstairs with Spawn. Swiper was playing solo queue and he was playing into an Ornn as Alawi just before the OPL. And it was Topoon.
He was versing Topoon and the guy was like 6-0, just slamming down tentacles. And I even said to Spawn, I said, Alawi, this looks ridiculous. You're dodging tentacles. How do you even beat this? He says, healing cut and CC. And I said, is it just a good champion for solo queue? He says, yeah, it's terrible and competitive.
Yeah, it's great in solo queue, but like Swiper's always had this champion. The reason that I bring this up though, and I think that it's so funny, is because in speaking to Spawn while he was spectating Swiper, he said that it's a rage pick. Like Swiper just picks it and goes into solo queue with like a 1% chance he plays it competitive. And then literally the next game, he picks that in a competitive game last. So they've gone for it. They've thrown the gauntlet. This is a big throwback. If there are any old Chiefs fans or old Swiper fans out there, in terms of a legacy pick, this is one of his few.
I love how the narrative has been built up from this one. Literally seeing a game happen only moments before and then saying, you know what, throw all caution to the wind. We're going to jump into this matchup against the Titans that are the Chiefs and see what this can do for us.
Yeah, definitely. Now Order with their finished composition have gone for the Corki in mid lane. They've gone for the Alawi top lane. The amount of crowd control that they have is bordering on the number near 0, but they do have a lot of damage and they have a lot of potential side lane threat with things like a package that can come through and just Alawi in general. So very excited to see how this one plays out.
Seal, welcome as always. We're jumping into this one. As you can see, Order have definitely done a little bit of adjusting. It's something that we kind of expected based on how they performed last time with the Aurelia pick in the matchup against you guys. You look at this one, obviously Alawi jumps out to me as the big outlier here. Does that something that kind of catches you off guard too?
Alawi is definitely not a curveball that we expected at all. And so the reason we actually counterpicked ourselves with Elise is pre-6, Olaf doesn't really do anything. So we thought that would be proactive in the first like 5 to 6 minutes. But then they just threw the Alawi curveball at us. So hopefully we just navigate the early game correctly. And then with ornaments, we should be able to cruise through the mid and late games.
So a lot of this early game, how would you see this then as the coach? Like what is navigating that mean if the Olaf isn't going to be a heavy gank champion? Is it at least getting ganks off?
It's more so the power spike that comes with Olaf Yumi. After level 6 when they start moving.
Yeah.
But we picked Senna into Yumi to counter the bot lane. And we also have like the mid neutralizer. So I expect Harry to get like a 40 to 50 CS lead in this game. And so we need to be able to use our ornaments during like the 25-minute phase when we start getting, 4 to 5k gold through those ornaments and utilize that to win through item spikes. So.
Now, Order in the pick and ban phase went for a heavy priority in denying away picks from your bottom lane. Do you think it's the right approach that teams are trying to take here?
I don't think that mattered too much with the picks. It's more so we expected them to take MF. Where they threw the curveball at us was obviously the Alawi, and when we locked in Ornn, we expected a set answer, like 9 out of 10 times. We definitely didn't expect Swiper to come at us with like a counter pick because that's not his usual style. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this draft, but I think both sides can definitely win. It's not a one-sided draft like last time.
Do you find, as the undefeated team in the league, even in practice, that a lot of teams will try different things against you that makes it very awkward sometimes in practice? You know, like if you're scrimming and an Alawi comes through, like does this happen to you guys often?
Only against Star Wolves. So they'll just randomly lock in like Tryndamere, and we'll just be like, okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll just ban Tryndamere because no other team does it, and we don't get real practice out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I coached those guys last year, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Alawi is just definitely a curveball, and the thing I find interesting is they have to split on this Alawi Corki composition. They can't, like they drafted Olaf Yumi to go in, but they picked a champion that doesn't necessarily go in and want us to go in. So I'm curious to how well they execute this.
My final question to you then, the Seal, is knowing Order's run up into this moment, going 1-1, is there any superstitions behind this, thinking, uh-oh, this could be a result with that curveball thrown to the wind, that this could be something that really catches us off guard here?
We did think about a bunch of curveballs, so I don't really know how to answer that question. All I can say is that like Order's definitely done their prep, and it just comes down to like who navigates their champions better, right? So like we like Ornn, we just think Ornn's broken, and we like Elise, so we just play it.
Let's see what happens here as the teleport comes in right now from both of those top laners. Actually, no, it's going to be Claire that comes in. Croc is there already. It's going to be a 4v3 situation with Rare very low. Yumi for the disengage. Seal, thank you for joining us as always. Well, Rusty, let's kick it off. The very first game of the day, the undefeated Chiefs taking on 4th place Order.
You're trying to bait an answer out of him to do his superstitions as well.
Well,
as if you're going to get Seal to say, oh yeah, we lose this because Order always go 1-1.
I'm trying to inject a bit of personality. I'm keen to see if there's any kind of banter there of like, look, you know, we're good. We're 9-0. We don't care. Pick what you want.
There is a lot of superstitions with players and teams in general when it comes to being at a competitive level. There's little things like when Order play the Direwolves, the top laners have a shirt that rotates between whoever wins, an Armor Titan style thing, because that's just what they were both known as. Little things like that, but then you've got Spooks used to have his lucky, I believe it was socks. Swiper had lucky pants or shorts, something like that. Like they all have their thing that works for them.
Top lane is where the focus is at right now. Once upon a time, these were two members under the Chiefs banner, Tien, the young apprentice, and Swiper the master. The last time they went head-to-head, it was an Akali versus a Set.
Oh yeah, and I think Swiper would be happy to forget that one.
And I think he would be. Tien went 6-1. I think it was only his 3rd death in the split at that stage at the highest KDA in the league. It was pretty insane.
Yeah, also solo killed him more than once.
Yeah.
That was not a good day to be Swiper, but you would have to say that the shoe is on the other foot in this game in terms of the champion of choice. It's not a tank into an Akali, it is Swiper picking the Alawi into the set. He gets his pick of the litter, and he chooses the matchup for himself. Now, back to the main point that I mentioned in draft about the Alawi is that like it doesn't provide some kind of raw engage, and Seal even echoed that opinion. The crowd control in the composition of Order is pretty low. It is all about using the Yumi and the Olaf to run people down and sustain through those fights, but because Alawi seems to be designed to do almost the opposite. Like, Ken teamfight does have damage, but often wants to be a threat in the side lane and split push. It kind of goes against what you see the rest of the composition of Order doing. So you do have to look at strategically how they're going to execute this and what that looks like. Because Alawi can teamfight, but if you're comparing an Alawi and a Set, it's very obvious the function that a Set has in a team fight.
Rather night and day in that regard. Do you think what Order have with this composition is enough to try and force that idea, kind of similar to what you mentioned with Penanet.gg, about slowing the game down a little bit more and playing it a little bit more with the split pressure, making Chiefs have to guess what their options are?
Yeah, I think throwing curveballs is a good way to do that as well. First of all, if you draft something that's unexpected or really hard to play against, then that can throw things a little bit off. But yeah, slowing down the game I think is something that's very much possible here through split pushing. Through 1-3-1, definitely a possibility. When you've got an Olaf, Yumi, and a Misfortune, diving that you'd say is usually it's doable. But the Yumi healing with an Olaf ultimate, they can just run away, and that gives time. And it's very hard to then execute when your opponents are an Elise trying to dive with that Elise who throws a cocoon, you just walk away. So yeah, I think they can slow the game down, play their own tempo, if they get an advantage in one of those solo lanes.
Well, the advantages have been found in the bottom lane so far. Chiefs have put a fair amount of resources into that. One Claire, utilizing that spell book, has already rotated from that teleport we had on beforehand. Croc came down as well, so looking to try and get some turret planings there, maybe rotate through to the Drake. I think top lane is going to be really up to Tien to try and juke and drive here.
So let's think about this top lane matchup a little bit as well. As Set has a pretty massive shield that can stop a lot of damage, but if you ever use that for damage itself, then I think Swiper just smacks you around. As they're fighting, but I really don't think Tien wants to overcommit himself to that. He used the ultimate in exchange for nothing. And we'll need to check what spell Swiper is maxing, because his cooldown on that E was obnoxiously low. I think he is maxing that.
Gonna go for the fruit. Croc is there. Tien's gonna rock on through, both exchanging flashes to make sure that he can't grab them in with the face maker. It does not matter. Tries to go in the tri-brush to deny vision and then turn things around with the ultimate for that insane life leech.
Yeah, gets caught on transition, trying to get some fruit. Very well done by Croc in terms of positioning on the map to be there at the correct moment. And the flash forced by Tien all but secures the kill. And you can tell that Swiper had resigned himself to that fact as he just presses the ultimate and goes forwards. So very good kills here by the side of Chiefs. Very big to get that onto the set specifically as well.
Harry sitting pretty in the mid lane so far. Obviously will have that ranged advantage as Corki. A healthy 25 CS up right now. Yep. Nice blue buff there as well. Functions similar to an Ezreal, if you will. Waiting for that power spike to come online with the Trinity Force.
Yeah, no big surprises through mid lane. That CS advantage should be there, and it's one of those matchups where he'll get the Trinity Force spike. It'll only get worse and worse, and eventually the Ornn will be unkillable, yes, but like Corki already has that lead. And it was like Seal mentioned, you wait for those ornaments, you wait for the level upgrades, and both mid lane champions actually love their levels. They get a lot from leveling up, but Ornn provides more for just like his entire team, where Corki only gets things for himself. So it's one thing to consider.
Been quite enjoyable to see the flexibility in these drafts so far from Order, brainstorming different ways to try and throw a wrench in the spanner. Ways to try and disrupt the hierarchy of the top two. There was, for the very first few weeks in this league, a clear disconnect between all 8 teams. The case has been made, especially in the top 4. And Only is going to pick up the very first Drake in this one, so Mountain is off the board for a potential soul.
Yep, no massive surprises there. They want to focus the Drake, and 10 minutes into the game with no Herald to look at as well. Given that that has been taken by Croc, the map flip is also less likely to be forced. Still possible. One of those things where at any moment you could actually just flip the map and look for a pick, look for a kill. And we even saw yesterday Rare doing that very same thing, teleporting to try and gain tempo and look for some picks, and he was very successful in doing so. Croc looked top lane there. All he found was Swiper testing his spirit.
Order had gone for the reset in the bottom side, and they were actually posturing to back up and potentially swap out with Swiper. Claire was on the rotate and Croc was there as well, so looking to really try and maximize this pre-14 window, get some turret plates online to try and bridge a gap in this economy. Only up by 300 gold so far.
Yeah, but I mean, any advantage is pretty big. Like mentioned, it increases exponentially once you get those levels on the Ornn. And suddenly an even game is a 5,000 gold difference game. Not being behind, to me, is the most important thing that the Chiefs could do here. And now they need to utilize, when they get spikes, when they get those item completions, what they do around the map. As that is
Croc's coming up here again.
Dive. No way.
Swiper very, very safe underneath that tower right now. Order will respond, the tentacles spawn. The idea was for them to try and get a kill, or potentially put enough damage down onto Swiper to force a rotate out to find priority in other lanes, and then utilize the Rift Herald for some free turret platings.
I mean, they just mashed all their buttons top lane. Ornn starts it off by throwing his ultimate out, but they had no idea where their opponents were. Hayri was just around the corner. Only was already there, so the second they saw the Olaf, I believe that was the call to disengage. They were quick on the disengage, yes, but I mean, Swiper saw them all coming, just pressed E, and they're all like, I don't know about this one. Diving Alawi is actually both top laners. You can't gank that lane if they have their turret backing them up. Alawi will just press ult and murder you. The set will just drag you under the turret. Just let the top laners go. Just leave them.
Even more so when you got double melee trying to gank a set. We talk about the dive towards his own tower. Obviously then has the shield online as well with full grit. So yeah, an incredibly brutal lane to try and assist. And we've seen them throw out their ultimates just for the sake of, I don't want to be farming under my tower anymore.
Yep. Tian's using his W now that he's hit level 9 to wave clear as best he can. Lower cooldown on that one, of course. And he's going towards the Trinity Force build, not the Black Cleaver build. He's getting more DPS out there. Trinity Force, I think, is just objectively better if you can afford to go for it. So I like that there, as Herald has been summoned mid.
Just before it expires. Not going to get the maximum value out of this one, but they will find as much as they can given the time window.
Here they go again.
Battle of the top laners does take place as they trade out their ultimates, and Swiper actually falls on down before Korea CK can utilize his cross-map cannon.
Yeah, Tian using the ultimate there, pretty much just knowing that he was dead. Very nicely done from Swiper. We didn't see the start of the fight, but with any Alawi 1v1, all you can assume is that he connected the E, and now he has to be very careful. However, he has flash, and that cocoon missed, so he can just walk away.
Uses it very early on right now. Croc trying to slow him down with that red buff. Claire comes on through with the Orn Horn. He was far too gone by that stage, and this is how it started.
Tian, it's all about how he uses his W if he wants to survive any damage output. He has been using it to wave clear. So he goes aggressively first, uses the face break, and yeah, Swiper just hits the E. He's E maxing as well, and I mean, he's got tentacles set up in all the right places. That's pretty simple there from Swiper. And Tian is the one who started that, so he'll regret that one massively.
Swiper able to get one up on his Prodigy. Able to try and even out the balance of their previous matchup. It's funny actually looking at the social media, right? You know, you date it back to the first match and how they're talking about, like, you know, I'm surprised you haven't retired yet.
Those two are out of control.
It was pretty funny.
Swiper and Tian are just sending messages to each other, and it's just... I don't want to say it's weak banter, because it's funny. But it's just so weird. It's like they speak their own language from a time on a team together, I guess is what I mean.
All the priority in the top lane. Through those battles that have taken place, they've both got key items online. Black Cleaver for the Alawi. Trinity Force for the set. Second Dragon now picked up here by order, as we're going to get an ocean map. Plenty of fruit, plenty of sustain, more brush.
Very
very powerful soul.
Recognition of the Herald being started there by order. You can see the teleport comes in from Katsuri. They want to secure this one. Swiper on the flank. Do Order want to fight this?
Order looking for a collapse right now. Who's the one that's going to look to try and pick this one up? Swiper going to utilize the ultimate, get slam dunked into multiple members. It's going to be Croc who finds the kill. Rare is without a hope in the world. Harry forced to blink across the wall there as Yumi finds the attach. Not the fight they were looking for, and possible signs of weakness in this composition when they group as 5.
Yeah, well, it was just an interesting fight to really dissect, and I'm sure we'll get to see it in the replay. Harry in trouble, first of all.
They're still looking for more. Harry playing fancy feet, juking left and right. Then going to dodge out the cannon from center as well, but Korea CK jumps in with the root. The rest of the Chiefs are there. They don't want a triple kill. They want a full 5-man ace, and they're going to find infinite value off this one. Not only getting an ace, getting another turret, and utilizing that Rift Herald expertly.
Yeah, so they will get not just the mid lane turret, they'll break the inner as well, complement to the Herald. They'll get 2 extra kills on the Hayri and Ayla, and they'll get the top lane outer turret, and they just take control of this map. Swiper hesitates on the use of his ultimate. The second he throws it, Set just pulls him away. So that was actually the first real teamfight interaction we've seen from those two players. And it's very clear that being an Alawi against the Set is not the easiest thing to do as those team fights start. Hayri uses the W there and he runs himself ragged with mana. So he just needs to walk. And unfortunately for him, This walking is just straight into the hands of Korea CK, who flashes forwards and hits that root. And then they just follow up for the kills. Meanwhile, Tian's a smacking top lane turret, and the Herald is hitting mid.
A big swing of power, as you'd imagine, rightfully so. Came online for the Chiefs as a result of that. 5k gold difference 17 minutes into this one. Game's just been blowed wide open.
Yeah, it's with a level 11 on, so things get worse very quickly if Order can't turn something around. We've got 2 minutes and 45 seconds, basically for both major objectives, with that being the potential third Drake of the game for Order. Something they'll want to look towards, and I think they'll very much regret what happened in that fight in River, as they were late to get to the Herald, knowing that it was being traded for the Drake. Then when they get there, that completely backfires on them. That decision to teamfight could be the one that cost them the entire game, when they could have just let the Herald go and tried to set up some waves.
They do have 2 Drakes to their name, and you'd imagine that's going to be their game plan right now, looking to assume the 1-3-1 split and play around that to try and get themselves an Elder. But will they be given that chance? Because Swiper's now rotated to the bottom lane. Look at the life leech that comes across when his ultimate is down. He's 1v3ing, and he does find the kill onto Croc. This is why he practiced it, and this is why he's playing it.
What are they doing? Korea CK and Croc are trying to kill Swiper by themselves. No Tia, no clue. Just an easy picking there for Swiper. Of course, he does lose the turret. He does have to go back to base, but I mean, it's a trade where maybe there shouldn't have been one at all.
Order going to utilize that momentum to rotate through mid lane as the True Shot Barrage comes out to try and cut away that minion wave. Clear finds a massive knock-up onto 2 into that terrain right now. Ragnarok, you might be unstoppable, but you can't run away from this one. The Chiefs are hungry. The Chiefs are pouncing.
Yeah, they're actually committing to the long chase here. Tian with a super deep flank. Only has no ultimate, so he can use the suplex and lock him down. That's definitely going to be 2 kills here, sooner or later.
They've caught their angles. There's nowhere to run. You can go and hide in the Conclave. It ain't the Botanical Gardens, I'll tell you that much. It looks pretty, but your life is going to flash just before you. Staggered death respawns.
Yeah, it's a sad death as well. That was just the slow, inevitable fate of Order. Crumbling in front of your eyes. Swiper pushing bot lane, however, is able to at least get that wave going. Croc may have learned his lesson in this case, and he doesn't want to answer the 1v1. Positives to look at here is that Hayri has got his Trinity Force Sork shoes on his level 13, getting closer to 16. Very big spike for that champion. His ultimate damage increasing rapidly. Swiper is 2-2 with good farm. He can kill people in side lanes. It's just that 3, you know, when you speak towards a 1-3-1 composition, what does the 3 look like? There's always a question that we have to ask. The 3 just dies. Yeah, we've just seen that happen more than once now.
Waiting for respawns. Unable to contest the first Ocean Drake that spawns onto the Rift right now. Chiefs have control of the map, the item power spikes, the advantages with the vision as well. Katsuri is massive, sitting at 3-0 with a bounty to his name and 2 major items online with a 24/7 immune. A lot of cooldown reduction and a very consistent AD carry.
Katsuri's been having a blinder once he started to really warm up with the rest of his team in this split. Has definitely come into his own, adapting to the new playstyle required of him. We haven't really seen any package usage from Hayri in this game too much. It netted them a Drake earlier on in the game, but not too much else from that point onwards. Even though he has such a ridiculous CS lead in his individual matchup. Definitely left us wanting.
So 1-3-1 is there right now. Now trying to turn their attention towards TN, maybe trying to find a little bit of love for Swiper. But Chiefs will take this moment to say, your jungle is down in the bottom lane. We're just going to blindly start Baron. Not even blindly. We can do it with conviction.
That was also Ayla down there with the Yuumi. Red's going to use the ultimate. It is going to force them off, like very clearly, or to have the vision set up. You can see it on your screen to defend the Baron if necessary. That's just Chiefs playing with the map. You show yourself, we'll make the countermeasure, and let's see how you react. And they got a teleport from Swiper. They got an ultimate from Rare. And now they teleport back to the Baron. This is a real call. Drone here. I think they'll turn. I think the Claire has to throw the ult.
Baron has been initiated. Fully reliant now on the ultimates that can come out of the likes of Ayla. Only in Swiper. Bullet time a massive component, especially in choke points like that.
That was kind of a shame from the Chiefs. They've just used both of their teleports to try and force something at the Baron and nothing happened. So Order can just disengage and be comfortable knowing that they have 2 teleports. Hayri can sit himself in a side lane and suddenly Order has something to play around. That's exactly what they're doing right now. Hayri is bot lane. He's going to push that wave out. Most likely, Chiefs' only option is to do this again. Continue the dance, bring Order over to you, make Hayri teleport this time.
Chiefs are running them around this map right now. They may not want this Baron. They may just want to fight. They may just want to wipe them, but the Baron is so low. It's in critical health. They need to get this. They do get the smite online. Bullet time used again.
This time they're able to just get it and walk away. So fantastic stuff from Chiefs in the end, getting what they're after. A little bit of dancing happened there, but at the end of the day, the result is the result.
They're looking for the fight right now. Katsuri is going to be teleporting in rather deep, looking to try and engage.
Yeah, he goes forwards.
Ace is going to go straight into Rare 7 on his own. He has no care in the world. Tien is just going to absolutely destroy members. The Swipes the first one to fall on down. The AD carry hopes of Order disappear as well. Harry with all the CS in the world forced to burn that flash.
Yes, helplessness is the only real way to explain Order for the rest of this game. It feels like we've hit that break point for Claire. Ornaments have come online. Chiefs with that Baron secured. They just run down mid lane. And just like we mentioned, you know, Order, they don't necessarily have a whole abundance of crowd control. That makes team fighting really difficult for them. Their 3-stack is behind, so Swiper stays with them as well, knowing that he doesn't have the teleport, but he's the one who suffers for it, and then the mid inhib falls.
Swiper's got a tall order to try and take on Tien right now. He's 4-1. Has his Trinity Force upgraded. Has the Sterix as well.
We may not even get a team fight too aggressively for this game to end. With the lead the Chiefs have, they could just sit there and try and poke. Use Katsuri with how far ahead he is individually. You can see the damage that he puts out just to secure this game for them. No chance for Swiper to use any of his buttons there with Tien ulting him in. A little bit slow is Alawi as a champion. You need to wait for the E to hit before you can use your ultimate, and in that time he just gets one tap.
Chiefs in the driving seat, as you'd expect for a team that are 9-0. They have a 10k gold lead, accounting for the ornaments. A fair few of them online right now as Claire's level 14.
He's lucky he got that recall off. If that cancelled him, he was dead. He's setting up in bot lane now. Teleport there for Hayri. This is probably the last chance if Order want to try and actually get a team fight. The Baron won't have too long left on it.
Chiefs wanting to maximize the value with that one.
Of course, I can't tell.
Super Minions already pushing on through towards those Nexus turrets. Now is the time to rotate through. Tien posturing through mid lane for a collapse. The Ornn ult will start things off, will not connect, but it will buy them a bit of chance to move on in. It's inhibited now, unguarded.
Hayri has the package. If there was ever a moment, Hayri is currently at his strongest. The teamfight damage they have is definitely at its highest. They just can't find the opportunity. Like mentioned, this game may just be forced in without even a real team fight.
Chiefs with 2 win conditions now, with the base of Order crippled. Turn their attention towards the second Ocean Drake. And if it was hard to kill them before, Rusty, it's getting that much harder after these buffs come online.
There are 2 Ocean Drakes for them. Lots of extra sustain. They'll get a turret. That's the first turret of the game for Order. We'll take that. Bot and mid have lost a lot of health, but they haven't been able to fall. So Chiefs have done very well to hold their own base. And if you think back to Order tried to push mid a little while ago, they immediately died for it. Anytime they've tried to do something, they've been bested.
The map right now is lit up blue. Chiefs doing a fantastic job of controlling vision, cutting off avenues which Order can look to exploit. Set up party bushes.
They're looking mid, I think, right now as well, Order. You can see how much damage Hayri's starting to get done with his rockets now that he has ticked over to level 16. Getting closer towards the Infinity Edge. Just kind of naming things that Order have, hoping that they can do something with it. Because right now we are just watching the complete shutout by the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs are systematically taking this game, turning their attention towards top side, wanting to eradicate any fortifications that remain before that Nexus. Claire actually has the Tenacity Potion in his inventory, waiting to utilize it. They are gearing up for the final fight. And it looks to take place right now as Only jumps in, but he's just not strong enough with Ayla on his back. He's going to fall on down, switching now to Rare 7. He's not going to have a good time because Set jumps in and slam dunks home, but he will pick up a kill and survivor of his life. Harry finds a second. The Order roster are holding strong for the meantime, but the goal difference, the item power spikes prove too strong. This third inhibitor will fall on down.
Katsuri's just way too far ahead. There is some serious damage coming out of Hayri for certain. And he did his absolute best in that team fight, as did Swiper. But at the end of the day, one carry still being there, and it is the 5-0-2 Ezreal with a 600 gold shutdown, just waiting to be collected, and no one could touch him.
So many items online. Tien incredibly beefy right now with the amount of armor and damage he's able to emit. Rare, very lucky to survive in that situation. Does pick up a shutdown. Does survive in critical health. Order live just a little bit longer in this game. And this is their dream situation to survive. But when you're down 13 kills to 4 with this kind of economy.
Yeah, what they have right now, Skimmy, is a mid lane inhibitor alive. And if they didn't have that, this game would be nearly impossible. They can't get any access towards the Baron then with the extra supers as the double supers start to spawn. There'll be one wave of double supers that is crashing now, and that's when Chiefs will start the Baron. Should just be a free objective. There's no globals to throw at it either. And you can't help but feel like with this Baron, they'll just run through mid lane, secure that inhibitor, and the game will just end.
The Chiefs are playing very smart League of Legends right now, not taking any unnecessary risks, understanding their advantage, claiming the benefits of it.
Eyes are on Order now. Last chance. If they want to get a team fight, they have to do it as soon as possible, and I think they've just lost their AD carry already.
Caught without any hope in the world. Trying to guard an inhibitor. But the crucial members of that front guard not there. These members are soon to crash on down. Only remains a double take on words there. As the first of the two Nexus turrets falls on down. They are toying with their food in the fountain. But the Chiefs will not fall to the curse. Order will find themselves their very first 0-2. Unable to take down the Chiefs on this occasion.
It was a tough week to be Order. Legacy and the Chiefs back-to-back with your games in week 5, so no one should really be surprised that it wasn't a 1-1 week here by Order, but you have to look at the decisiveness of their opponents. Even with the curveball thrown, even with some very questionable moments, maybe not knowing the limits of Alawi as a champion, and Croc testing it a couple of times and Swiper getting those kills. At the end of the day, Chiefs, as that 5-man unit, still proved too strong. And like we mentioned earlier on in the season, they can still do that with champion diversity. They can have Claire be a carry, or they can have Claire play the Ornn. This is one of those Ornn games where he just supports his team, loses priority, and still is able to be successful by relying on Katsuri.
And that's what I'm sort of starting to recognize right now, more and more as their identity, that Claire is the accommodating factor here to allow Katsuri to do what he likes. Obviously, buff up Tien and his roster to say you can play a tank, you can play a carry as well. I will be the front guard to go through and back you boys up. Unlucky for Order, unable to replicate the 1-1 score line, but for the Chiefs, 10-0. Nice impressive record there as we jump back to the couch.
Thank you very much, boys. Skimmy said before that Chiefs didn't fall to the curse, but in some ways the curse is now broken because it frees you so that you know if you win on a Friday, that doesn't mean you're going to lose on a Saturday.
I just was so sure that we were going to win one this week. I don't know why. Like, I think that we had like two really different game plans, and I feel like a lot of the weeks that we came into the OPL, and I think a couple of teams have been doing this as well, you kind of have like your A+ game plan that you run with on the first game, and then you just have like minor tweaks that you run into the second game. We thought that Legacy and Chiefs were really different this week, so we wanted to play completely different comps against them. Yeah. But Chiefs played the top side of the map this game really well. When we knew they were going to take on mid, and so we just picked Prio into it. We picked a quicker jungler, and we picked like the hardest pushing top laner we can have. And Croc still got 2 Rift Heralds.
Yeah.
Like on the top side of the map. We got dragons on the bottom side, but unfortunately like gold lead, notwithstanding, that's just always going to hurt you when you lose 2 Rift Heralds, and they won the team fight on the second one. It was impossible to come back.
It was impossible to come back. Tian, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Did that wash the taste of the mammoth loss that we played right before the beginning of the broadcast out of the mouth?
It definitely did. I'm kind of salty that I got solo killed by DOS. So right now we're 1-1 in terms of solo kills. So so when we get to the third round robin, when I verse DOS again, we'll see who ends up winning that tiebreaker.
Was it you screaming on the other side of the wall?
No, that was DOS.
Okay,
so
right.
so I screamed the first time I solo killed him,
Yep.
and he wanted to make sure he heard me.
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't hear it, but apparently Brendan did, Claire did, and he said that he didn't want to say anything in case it tilted me. But I was when I got solo killed, I kind of just started laughing I stuffed up.
It's a dumb champ, right? Talk to me about Alawi, because a lot of people at home wouldn't have played against Alawi. How did you find the matchup? What did you think of it?
So, honestly, I was super surprised when you guys picked 4th. I was like, okay, we didn't ban Aatrox. Aatrox is good into both. It should be an Aatrox pick. I saw the Corki. I'm like, okay, 5th pick, this guy's going to pick something interesting. And when I saw Alawi, I'm thinking it's really smart. It beats both Set and Ornn. But I think the issue with Alawi is that she can't group as a champion. She's fundamentally really annoying because she's the weak side. Even if you shut her down early, at level 6, she can just 1v2. But I think my jungler's really smurf, so he kind of gave me leeway even though I entered lane. So he just basically carried me.
And talk to me about what it is about your team, because I'm sure lots of people would have known the 2 remaining Chiefs left over, yourself and Claire. But it seems like Katsuri and Croc especially have stepped up a lot this season. How do you find playing with these 2 new players?
So I think our team identity is really solid in terms of we just like skirmishing. So in most skirmishes, we have a lot of trust in our mechanics to just win certain fights, right? I think Katsuri Robert has really stepped up this year. He's come in from Direwolves last year as a rookie of the split, but he was traditionally the strong side player. So he came in with Biopanther, who's known as another tank player, right? And so he's had to step more into carrying from a weak side role, which I find really impressive. And I think he's really stepped up. Croc actually came from he's played competitive for quite a while, but as a trainee. So he was actually in China for a bit. That's why even though he's a Korean, he plays a lot like an LPL jungler.
Yep.
But I definitely think they're stepping up in terms of just gameplay. They're just carrying every week.
And now talking about you, Barmy Cinder was buffed this patch. You've made it through the first competitive week of League of Tanks without having to go super tank yet.
Right.
Are you happy that you made it through unscathed without these dirty tanks on your hands?
Well, to be honest, the Barmy Cinder nerf isn't... I don't think it's as big as people make it out to be. I think tanks did need a buff because they're just outshined by Conqueror so much. But the fact is, Barmy Cinder doesn't really help laning too much. I think there's only 2 champions that benefit from it. Ornn can proc it easily, Zac top if people want to play Zac top. But I don't think tanks have come back. It's still just set on Aatrox. And until those champs get nerfed, I don't think we're seeing anything different.
There you go. Well, congratulations on the win, mate. And lots of good insights there into your fellow teammates as well. We'll be back right after this short break.
One up, Swipe going to utilise the ultimate, get slam dunks to multiple members. It's going to be Croc who finds the kill. Rare is without a hope in the world. But will they be given that chance? Because Swipe is now rotated to the bottom lane. Look at the life leech that comes across when his ultimate is down. He's 1v3ing, and he does find a kill onto Croc. Ace is going to go straight into Rare 7 on his own. He has no care in the world. Tien is just going to absolutely destroy members. The Swipe's the first one to fall on down. And it looks to take place right now as only jumps in, but he's just not strong enough with Vela on his back. He's going to fall on down, switching now to Rare 7. He's not going to have a good time because Set jumps in and slam dunks home, but he will pick up a kill and survivor of his life. Harry finds a second. The order roster are holding strong for the meantime, trying to guard an inhibitor. The crucial members of that front guard not there. These members are soon to crash on down. Only remains. But the Chiefs will not fall to the curse. Order will find themselves their very first 0-2.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.